Good afternoon, everybody. They have another Bombshell article by Janet Phelan. Janet is also a targeted person. The article I'm discussing here was published March 15, 2023, and it is in the Activist Post. Here you go, folks. I will provide a link to the article after I read it and post it online. So here you go, folks. Targeted Justice files lawsuit alleging crimes against U.S. citizens. It is a bombshell or a fizzle. Okay, so we'll read the article, folks. You can judge for yourself. And, you know, I mentioned that the lawsuit was filed during a Mercury retrograde and a Mars retrograde. Big no-nos. So they had to redo a lot of things. So here we go. On January 12, 2023, Targeted Justice, which holds itself out as a resource for those who claim to be targeted with covert weaponry, filed a lawsuit in the U.S. District Court claiming that FBI head Christopher Wray and Attorney General Merrick Garland, among others, are responsible for these attacks on selected U.S. citizens. The lawsuit cites the quote-unquote Havana syndrome, and at least one of the plaintiffs, a Dr. Len Burr, or Beer, BER, has been cited elsewhere as a Havana syndrome victim. The Havana syndrome has been widely covered by legacy media. It refers to what has been termed as, quote unquote, a mysterious attacks on CIA and embassy officials in China, Cuba, and elsewhere. Attacks which have been, in some cases, profoundly disabling. The causes of the quote-unquote syndrome remain in dispute, with some attributing them to covert, directed energy, and or microwave attacks. As it now stands, the United States government has passed a law recognizing and given medical assistance to diplomats and officials who have been attacked in this manner. The U.S. government continues to maintain the stance that, other than the vetted officials, no U.S. citizen is being attacked with this weaponry. At this juncture, there is virtually thousands of U.S. citizens who are claiming to have been so attacked, including NSA whistleblower extraordinaire William Binney. The U.S. government continues to deny the veracity of these citizen claims, insinuating that those who make these claims are mentally ill. As filed, the lawsuit contains fatal errors which may result in its dismissal. I tend to agree on some levels here, folks. For one, the lawsuit is named First Amendment amended complaint, which leads one to question where the original complaint was lodged. In fact, it appears never to have been entered into the record. However, the intrinsic problems with the lawsuit do not end there. I'm sorry. While the lawsuit waxes on about covert weaponry, fusion centers, and the terrorist watch list, it falls down irrevocably in the section named, quote-unquote, causes of action. This section is pivotal to the success of any legal effort, as it named, or should name, the laws that have been violated and therefore provide an underpinning for a successful legal action. Yeah, I didn't see that actually. However, whomever constructed the lawsuit, and we will get to that in a moment, appeared not to understand what a quote-unquote cause of action is and how important this inclusion would be to a successful suit. The lawsuit lists a total of 6 causes of action, some of which are not causes of action and may end up rendering the lawsuit null and void. The lawsuit lists quote-unquote damages as a cause of action, and this is not a cause of action, and also lists quote-unquote mandamus as a cause of action, which it is not. Without a prior lower court government decision. In other words, the lawsuit falls down in listing the laws broken which justify the suit. Absolutely agree on that one, folks. Also of concern is the focus of the lawsuit on the alleged inclusion of what are called targeted individuals, quote unquote, on the terrorist watch list. The lawsuit seems to make an assumption that the inclusion takes place under the banner of, quote, non-investigative subjects, unquote. However, when queried as to how this conclusion was reached, the attorney for the lawsuit, Anna Toledo, declined to respond. If one looks closely at the verbiage in the lawsuit, it appears that the lion's share of the discussion, 26 pages, relates to the alleged inclusion of individuals in the terrorist database. Very little verbiage, a total of around 3 pages, is given to the allegations of the use of, quote, Havana syndrome type, unquote, weapons against targeted individuals. Going to the causes of actions which list laws broken and thereby justifying the lawsuit, we come away with the impression that the sole basis for filing the lawsuit was 1, a failure of the government to timely reply to FOIA requests, and 2, allegations of inclusion of the 17 plaintiffs on the terrorist watch list for which no proof is provided. Well, you know what? A lot of times the proof, I'm just adding this, the proof is not provided in the cause of action here. It would be provided when interrogatories are shared, etc., etc. Toledo neither confirmed nor denied this report's questions, responding in the following manner. Dear Miss Phelan, I have been awfully busy. Excuse my delay in responding. I believe you have reached your own conclusions regarding the lawsuit and have nothing further to discuss about it. Your tone is not conducive to a productive communication. Best regards, A. Toledo. Further queries were tendered as to her work history and her apparent hiatus from the practice of law between 2010 and 2019, and no responses were received. The judge in this case requested a memorandum from both plaintiffs and defendants as to whether the venue, which is the Southern District of Texas, was the correct venue for the lawsuit. In the first response filed by the government, the lawyer for the defendants stated that it was expected that the lawsuit would be dismissed, quote, at the earliest stage, unquote, and was essentially comprised of, quote, baseless allegations and conspiracy theories, unquote. The venue was then discussed, and both parties seemed to agree upon its locus of filing. For a number of years, Targeted Justice has been claiming that it intends to file a class action lawsuit, and it has encouraged, quote unquote, targeted individuals to join the organization. In fact, that a lawsuit is now on file naming only 17 defendants has surprised some of its members, many of whom paid a donation on joining the organization. Yes, folks, I know a lot of people, including my own self, back in the day. Targeted Justice is currently being sued by its former legal director, John Christiana. His lawsuit, filed in both Arizona, the former locus of Targeted Justice, and Texas, its current locus, alleges that the organization has attempted to encourage targets in doxing public officials for the alleged purpose of creating legal difficulties for the targets. The doxing claims come from the fact that Targeted Justice publicly lists names and home addresses of public officials which the organization claims are involved in the use of weaponry and or gang stalking of ordinary citizens. The lawsuit also alleges a coordinated effort at defaming Christiana once he objected to the doxing. In fact, Christiana's mother, Charlotte, who is at 90 years old, received a demand letter signed by lawyer Anna Toledo and the principal with Targeted Justice as Owen Calvert, who also goes by the name of Richard Lighthouse. I actually saw that letter, folks. I saw it and I read it.